Hi everyone, I'm the Gnome, and today we'll be reviewing Iron Man 3. And that's 3 spelt T-H-R-E-E rather than the number 3, which, whilst not hugely important, seemed a little bit weird. So Iron Man 3 is directed by Shane Black. And for those who aren't huge movie nerds, Shane Black is the guy who wrote the Lethal Weapon script and also did the fantastic Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, also starring Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer. So it seemed very much a Downey Jr. choice for Shane Black to direct. In the movie, Gwyneth Paltrow returns as Pepper Potts, and we also introduce some new characters, Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin, and also Guy Pearce as Aldrich Killian. And the plot is very loosely based on the Warren Ellis comic book Extremis. So, depending on how much you like the Avengers, will depend on how much you like Iron Man 3. It goes for a very, very similar tone. Now, you could say maybe that's Joss Whedon's fault or responsibility, or you can lay that to Disney's door. It's very much a adolescent-friendly comedy. And it is very funny. Really all down to the sparkling dialogue, in which with Robert Downey Jr. and Shane Black is exactly what you would expect. There's a couple of little ticks from Kiss Kiss Bang Bang that's carried over. Robert Downey Jr. Seemingly talks to the audience a couple of times in voiceover, and then the little scene after the credits kind of reveals what that's all about. It's quite a nice little touch. But don't be kind of going in expecting this to be a dark, broody, Dark Knight-esque movie. It's very much in the bright, colourful Avengers world. I'll try to avoid kind of any minor or major spoilers, but the plot involves Ben Kingsley's Mandarin as this all-fearing Osama bin Laden type who's willing to strike at anybody using human bombs. At the same time, Robert Downey Jr. is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's actually quite nicely played out from the actor himself. It could have been very easily to continue the kind of swagger that he's had in the first couple of movies. And yes, there are circumstances where he has that. But kind of humanise him a bit, trying to get his head around the space monsters, gods, demigods, massive rips in space above New York. It's quite a nice touch. What the film also does quite well is it does well to hinder Tony Stark for, I would say, a good kind of 3/4 of the movie. Because what you don't want is Tony Stark in his suit being impossible to defeat, because where's the tension, where's the drama around that? They combat that by getting him basically stuck in a new suit that's a prototype, that's not battle ready. So it's a nice little touch to try and kind of even out the odds and create some sense of danger. I think what the Marvel films do well is they fill their films with good actors. Guy Pearce is quality, Ben Kingsley is immense in this film, and when you get to the kind of big reveal scene, it is actually quite funny. Pepper Potts, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, spot on. There's also a small role again for Jon Favreau as the bodyguard. And really, as long as you put good actors in your film, you're going to get good performances. But you've had that now throughout really all the Marvel films, even going to kind of Thor, and even at a push, Captain America, with its small roles, such as Tommy Lee Jones, is played really well because you've got good actors in. So you can't really go wrong with that. And Man of Steel's looks like they're trying to do the same thing with Kevin Costner, Dan Lane, Amy Adams, Lawrence Fishburne, all top quality actors. And the performances in these films are spot on, though it is all down to Robert Downey Jr. Saying to Silent Logic, who's actually watching the film, that it scares me that we're going to, at some point in the future, recast Tony Stark. And whoever's going to recast, take over that role, has got big boots to fill. Downey Jr. has a whale of a time as Tony Stark, as he has done for the previous 2 films and the Avengers. He is perfect. He's got so much charisma, he's quick-witted, and it feels like he's quick-witted rather than just script quick-witted, rather than read funny line here, as you get to see with a lot of kind of modern Hollywood comedies. He really owns the role. He owns the role the same way that Christopher Reeve owns the Superman role. He owns the role the way that kind of Tobey Maguire or even Andrew Garfield doesn't really own the Spider-Man role. And even you could probably push that Christian Bale kind of owns at least the Bruce Wayne role. And it's going to be difficult to see kind of what else you could do to bring kind of a different slant to it. Sam Rockwell would be an excellent Tony Stark, but he was the bad guy in Iron Man 2, so that's really off the table. But going back to Robert Downey Jr. is immense in this film, and it's kind of what you would expect. The special effects are excellent. It really shows that they're at the kind of top of their game and they've actually had time to invest. The big action scene at the end is fantastic, where you've got, as seen in the trailer, multiple armors flying around, and there's lots of scenes where they're interacting at kind of a moment's notice. There's some creative use of the actual Iron Man armors themselves. Similar to my video on The Amazing Spider-Man, which is done by Sony Pictures rather than Marvel Studios, it seems as though they've actually spent time thinking, how can we creatively use these outfits? Rather than just use them as put them on, hit somebody with it, there's clever uses of going into them, out, using part of them. There's a really good scene near the beginning where, to help himself, the hand section is taken off and then turns, and then he grips the mechanical hand to then pull him to safety, which is a fantastic creative use of the technology, and long may that kind of remain. I'd say overall, it's not the best film in the world. It's a big, dumb superhero summer film, though a lot closer to kind of Star Wars than it is to Transformers. So you compare the two films, Transformers and Iron Man 3, you'll get to see that Michael Bay really doesn't care about the material and he's just going through the numbers. Iron Man 3 feels like it's made with a lot of love. But it's not perfect. There's kind of, it dips quite a bit in the middle, kept really only afloat by Robert Downey Jr. There isn't much Iron Man actually in the film, it's a lot of Tony Stark. And if you like Tony Stark more than Iron Man, like I do, then you'd be laughing. But the fight scenes are good, the final beatdown is pretty excellent, and I would recommend going and see it, because really there's bugger all else out. And I think it's going to be a good kind of precursor to Star Trek Into Darkness, which probably is going to be a better film. So hopefully you've enjoyed this review. I'm not going to give it a score, because what's a score? I've told you kind of what I like, some of the bits that aren't particularly great. And really that's it. So I would recommend going and see it, because hey, it's Tony Stark, it's Robert Downey Jr., and it's got lots of Iron Men punching each other. So cheers everyone, thank you much for watching, and good night.